Hello, students. I hope you're all fine and in good health. Let me continue from where I left in my previous audio presentation related with the chapter The Enemy. So, as you know, Sadao went and he interacted with the general. The general had a cardiac arrest. Now, because of Sadao, he was saved this time. Now, the general knows everything about the American prisoner of war, and he told Sadao that he would send some of his capable assassins to do the needful, and they would also remove the body from the house of Sadao. And Sadao came back and he interacted with Hana also, but haven't told Hana about this particular plan that was been taken by the general to exterminate the American prisoner of war. And he also interacted with the young man and who thanked him for saving his life. So let us now continue. Sadao slept badly that night because he was in tension. Because who knows, the assassins might invade his house and might kill this man with the process of inward bleeding. Time and time again he woke, thinking he heard the rustling of footsteps, the sound of a twig. Twig means a small branch of a tree, we can say twig, broken, or a stone displaced in the garden. A noise such as men might make who carried a burden. Now his anxious mind was being very alert. Sadao's anxious mind was very alert. He cautiously was listening to the sound of footsteps, if any footsteps can be heard, or a broken twig or a stone being displaced in the garden. These things are indicative of a group of men carrying a burden on their shoulders. And the burden of a man, most importantly. The next morning, he made the excuse to go first into the guest room. Normally, Hana goes with the breakfast. Now, Sadao made an excuse to go into the bedroom, or rather to say the guest room of that man. If the American were gone, he then could simply tell Hana that so the general had directed. Because, as I told you earlier, and since it is there also written that about the plan of the general, uh, Sadao haven't told anything to Hana because Sadao knew at the back of his mind Hana would grow more anxious. So he kept quiet. Now he made an excuse that he would go to the guest room. Normally, Hana goes, as I told you, with the breakfast. Now, if after moving or after going to the guest room, if he finds that the prisoner is no more there, then he would say everything to Hana, but not now. At first, he wants to visit the guest room to see whether the man or that young prisoner of war was there or not. So I repeat this line, dear students, once again. The next morning, he made the excuse to go first into the guest room. If the American were gone, he then could simply tell Hana that so the general had instructed or directed. Then he would disclose the plan of the general to Hana, but not before seeing that man. If he finds that man there, then it's okay. If not, then it will be very clear to him that the general did send his assassins to do the needful. But when he opened the door, he saw at once that there on the pillow was the shaggy blonde head. He could hear the peaceful breathing of sleep, and he closed the door again quietly. But to his respite, he felt very happy from inside, and his tension was relieved when he found that the man was in his room, in that particular guest room, and he was breathing peacefully. He was sleeping. So Sadao was not eager to disturb his sleep. He closed the door from outside and went from that place. So Sadao felt happy, and Sadao felt relaxed from inside, seeing that man was still alive. So now I'm moving on to the next line. He is asleep, he told Hannah. He is almost well to sleep like that. He is asleep, he is almost well to sleep like that. Nothing to worry. What shall we do with him? Hannah whispered her old refrain. Now Hannah was very anxious also. He told Sadao that what we will do with him. Sadao shook his head. I must decide in a day or two, he promised. Okay, let me decide, let me think what we can do with him in a day or two. But certainly he thought, the second night must be the night. There rose a wind that night, and he listened to the sounds of bending boughs or branches of trees, and the whistling partitions. Now, Sadao thought maybe the first night was not that night, maybe the second night would be the night when the assassins will do their work. Hannah woke too. Out we not go and close the sick man's partition? She asked, because a wind was blowing. So Hannah woke up in the middle of the night and told Sadao that let us go to the room of where the man was sleeping and let us close uh, the partition. But no, Sadao said. He is able now to do it for himself. No, we won't go to that room because now he is quite capable of closing the window partitions all by himself. But the next morning, the American was still there. And again, when Sadao went the next morning, he found that the American was still there. Then the third night, of course, must be the night. The wind changed to quiet rain, and the garden was full of the sound of dripping eaves and running springs. So the third night it was raining, and Sadao thought maybe the first two night the prisoner was lucky to be alive. Maybe this night, the third night, might be the night when he will die. Sadao slept a little better, but he woke at the sound of a crash and leaped to his feet. Sadao was sleeping more or less peacefully only, thinking that it was raining outside, though at the back of his mind, the tension regarding the life security of that man was still with him. So when he heard a crash, when he heard a noise, he leaped to his feet. Leap means to jump. What was that? Hannah cried. The baby woke at her voice and began to wail. Obviously, there was a crashing sound. So the little child started crying. And Hannah also woke up, thinking that what was that? There was a bit of a noise. I must go and see. But he held her and would not let her move. Now, Hannah was very much eager to go to the guest room where the American prisoner of war was sleeping to see whether he is okay or not. But Sadao restricted her from going to that room. So I repeat one more time. What was that? Hannah cried. The baby woke at her voice and began to wail. Okay, the meaning of wail is cry. I must go and see. But he held her and would not let her move. Sadao, she cried, what is the matter with you? Why you are not allowing me to go to that room? I must see whether that American prisoner of war who is in our house is fine or not, because there is a crashing sound. Don't go, he muttered. Don't go. His terror infected her, and she stood breathless, waiting. There was only silence. Maybe Sadao grew a bit anxious, and that anxiety of Sadao can be seen in his eyes. And Hannah, being his partner for a long time, being his wife, can understand that her husband, she is in deep anxiety. And that is reflected in his eyes. And it got transferred to the eyes of Hannah also. She also grew anxious. So let me move on. His terror infected her. That is the reason I told you all, dear students, that she also grew anxious at the same time. And she stood breathless, waiting. There was only silence. No one uttered a single word. There was total silence. Together they crept back into the bed, the baby between them. They haven't went out of their room. They haven't went to see whether the white man was okay or not, whether he was sleeping peacefully or whether anything happened to him or not. They haven't went outside their room. Keeping the child between them, they slept. Yet when he opened the door of the guest room in the morning, there was the young man. But to his great surprise, after that anxious night that he and his wife had spent, after a lot of anxiety that can be seen in both of them related with the crashing sound the previous night, and the thought that went in the mind of Sadao, maybe the prisoner of war, that is that young man, that young American by the name of Tom, had already been killed or and been taken away, but it turned out to be that he is still there in the room, and that is a blessing in disguise for Sadao. And Sadao felt relieved. The most important thing is that Sadao felt relieved by seeing him. He was very gay and had already washed and was now on his feet. The man was feeling very lively. He was feeling very happy also. He had asked for a razor yesterday and had shaved himself, and today there was a faint color in his cheeks. So he shaved. For that reason, he asked for a razor yesterday, and now it seems that the paleness in his face is disappearing slowly and slowly, and it seems that there is a faint color that can be noticeable in his cheeks. That is a sign that he is recovering slowly and slowly. Previously his face used to be totally whitish in color, totally pale in color. That used to make Sadao realize that this man is still recovering. But now it seems that there is a bit of faint color that is noticeable in his cheeks. That really shows that this man is now on the verge of fully recovering. He is on the verge of recovering totally. I am well, he said joyously, in a very excited manner. In a very joyous manner, he told Sadao that he is well. Sadao drew his kimono round his weary body. He could not, he decided suddenly, go through another night. It was not that he cared for this young man's life. No, simply it was not worth the strain. Now the important thing is that Sadao was very practical. So he realized that night after night, he can't stay with this tension, with this anxiety. Something needs to be done. Otherwise, this man would not be alive. You are well, Sadao agreed. He lowered his voice. Even he put his kimono, a sort of a shawl, we can say, over his weary body. You are so well that I think if I put my boat on the shore tonight, with food and extra clothing in it, you might be able to row to that little island not far from the coast. Yes, and you are so fit that if I give you a boat along with that some clothing and some food on it, and you can row to the other side of the island. You are quite fit now. So I am repeating this line once again. I think if I put my boat on the shore tonight with food and extra clothing in it, you might be able to row to that little island not far from the coast. It is so near the coast that it has not been worth fortifying. Nobody lives on it because in storm it is submerged. Now the good thing is that that island remains more or less isolated. No one stays there because the main thing is that when there is stormy season, during the time of heavy shower and storm, at that time it is submerged, it remains submerged. But this is not the season of storm, so you can stay there on the island. You could live there until you saw a Korean fishing boat pass by. They pass quite near the island because the water is many fathoms deep there. Now you can stay there because now it's not the stormy season or it's not raining each and every night. So because when there is storm or stormy time or stormy season, at that time the island remain more or less submerged. But now since it is not the time of heavy storms, so you can stay in that island and you can wait for a Korean fishing boat. And obviously, if you see a Korean fishing boat, definitely you will be rescued. See this line, you could live there until you saw a Korean fishing boat pass by. They pass quite near the island because the water is many fathoms deep there. They pass by because the water is many fathoms deep there. The young man stared at him, slowly comprehending. Do I have to? Do I have to go? I think so. It will be better for you. It will be better for me. It will be better for my family. I think so that you should move on now for your life and also for our safety. That is what the practical minded Sadao hinted to the young man. I repeat this line, I think so. Sadao said politely, Sadao said gently. You understand? It is not hidden that you are here. The last line is very powerful, very meaningful. Now, Sadao told the young American that one thing I want to make it very clear to you that you are here. It is not hidden. Everyone knows about it that you are here. And you must understand it that this particular life that you are leading right now, you should think that you must know this, that it is in everybody's knowledge. Now more or less everyone knows that you are here. It is not hidden from others. Everyone knows about it. So it is for your safety. I want you to move to the other side of the coast, on that part of the island, and you should wait for the Korean fishing boat. I will give you some provisions in the form of clothes, in the form of food. With that, you can move on to the other side of the island and obviously wait for the Korean fishing boat, and definitely you will be rescued because everyone knows that you are here. So your presence is not concealed or it is not hidden anymore. It is already revealed. So it is for your safety. I insist you should move on. So dear students, I stop here in this audio presentation. In my next audio presentation, I will be continuing from page number 44. Till then, kindly go through this audio presentation. It's a lengthy one, but please take out some time and listen to this. And if there is any problem anywhere, do let me know about it. Thank you, students. Thank you all.